Unfortunately, I'm going to be the bearer of serious
Oh
news.
no.
I There's so many topics that everyone has tonight that's going to be so fun filled and so awesome, and I can't wait to play along. And for you out there watching the stream, you're going to have a great time with the rest of this show. Unfortunately, on my show, we have absolutely zero problem tackling situations that would get me banned from every promotion I've ever worked with ever.
Oh boy.
I love pushing the buttons when it's stuff like that, and I love having open dialogue. And I wanted to take this opportunity to be around some of the best wrestling minds that I can possibly think of to quote nitpick the brain a little bit because there has been some amazing news taking place. And I mean amazing in the worst possible negative way that you could possibly have it. There's been some news here in the wrestling world that I want to pick the brains of everyone here, get their thoughts, get their takes. But there was a little situation down at Knox Pro Wrestling that I would love to talk about because I think that as people who both talk about the industry and for some of us that are in this chat that are in the industry, I take it as a personal pride to set records as straight as humanly possible and to give genuine thought outside of the titillation of a story. And what I mean by that is that here on Orsini's Uncensored Mind, we don't do topics based on shock value. We don't do topics based on clicks. We don't do it on views. Actually, one of the main premises of my show is I don't give a shit what my audience wants to hear.
Oh boy. That's
I talk about I talk about on my show because I feel like fucking talking about it. If it happens to be a topic you want to hear, come on and tune in. If it's something you don't want to hear, get the fuck out of the way for the rest of the house of O. So I wanted to bring that attitude and that take here to the Untitled Super Cool Wrestling Show because down in Knox Pro Wrestling, and this is how close to the button I am, the Anawahi family gave me quite a few blessings in my career over time. But I am prepared to destroy them at this point because, in pure fairness of the situation, I think it needs to be discussed on both sides of the coin. So allow myself to preface before I ask you guys the questions that I'm going to ask you. Steve, you know how this goes. I'm about to go on the soapbox.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Raja Jackson. Raja Jackson is the individual who was the son of Rampage Jackson. He is an MMA fighter that happened to be at a pro wrestling show. Knox Pro Wrestling is the actual name of the company that had this show. Raja is a content creator, much like his father, and they're constantly having cameras on them and they're constantly making content for whatever streaming or whatever site they use. I don't know. I don't give a shit. The point is that they have cameras at all times, and they were invited. They were invited to Knox Pro Wrestling to attend a show and to be a part of the festivities in some way. I don't even think they knew how. And there was a situation involving Raja Jackson and a pro wrestler by the name of Psycho Stu. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go blow for blow. Here's the quick deal. Psycho Stu was under the impression that there was a work taking place in the back. He took a can beverage. It's up for debate what was in the beverage. The can had fluid in it, but it was open. So it wasn't like getting hit with a brick of a soda can. It was opened, there was spray, there was a whole shebang. Raja got hit with the can, completely no-sold it, obviously, because what the fuck. And Psycho Stu and them went face to face. There was a discussion that took place. One person thought it was a work. Raja clearly doesn't even know what the fuck that is. And then there was a conversation that ensued. There was some apologies made, a few handshakes, which I'm going to get to in a second. And then there was a discussion that we're gonna turn this into a thing. Let's turn this into a thing. And they had Raja sit front row for the actual show, in which Psycho Stu was in the ring at the time. They gave the Yiggy to Raja to come on in, and he slides into the ring, proceeds to do one of the sickest double legs I've ever seen in my entire life, which initially knocked him out, and then proceeded to throw not one, not two, not three, but 22 punches
oh boy.
to the knocked out unconscious individual while the referee and other talents just kind of stood there and watched a thriller horror movie happen right in front of them. And then there was a gentleman who was in the match previously who came out. Apparently, he was the only one in the building with testicles and came in and grabbed the MMA fighter off of him while Stu lay completely motionless. To which some tubby fuck from the outside of the ring slides into the ring, pins the unconscious, bleeding, beaten man to a 1-2-3 count. They escorted Raja out of the building, which I'm assuming, based on the logistics, had to have been like about 10 feet from the ring. And he left to the outside, at which his content creation continued. We saw footage of Raja on his phone discussing with people, oh, he's flatlined in the ring, he's completely unconscious. There is a lot more specifics. I only have 30 minutes, but my main point of why I'm bringing it up is this. I definitely want to hear the opinions of everybody on this panel here, and I will
ask me.
I will ask you the questions directly, specific questions to the specific topic. But I do want to lead off this topic by just very, very quickly. I want to state for the record my own personal opinion about Raja being that he is an animal. He is not fit for society. He has not been fit for society in quite some time. His own father has said on multiple occasions he's got two sons, he's got two funds, a college fund for one and bail money for the other. The one who went to Knox Pro Wrestling was the one with the fucking bail money. Okay? Now, this is only my opinion. This is not the opinion of anybody on this panel, unless they want to co-sign or whatever the case may be. I believe Knox Pro Wrestling was looking for a TMZ moment. I believe that's what this situation was. I'll believe it till the end of time. They invited this man knowing he had a hair trigger, and they poked, and before they even knew it, they were way in over their head and didn't have a clue what was going on or how they could stop it. They didn't know what they got the ball. That handshake that everyone leans on, oh, they apologized. There was a handshake. I am from what they call the projects. And in the projects, let me explain something to you. The minute that can hit his head,
it was over.
His mind, he came to the decision, I'm fucking this guy up. It's just a matter of when. So when they told him, we're going to give you an opportunity to fuck him up, just wait a few minutes, and in the ring, you can do it in front of everybody. Of course I'm going to shake his hand. Sure, buddy. Oh, man, it's all under the bridge. And he's in the front row on camera going, no, they said I can hit him for real. I can hit him for real. And he went into the ring, and he hit him for fucking real. So, you poke the dog, you poke the dog, you poke the dog. Eventually, the dog will fucking bite you. Are you mad at the bomb for exploding, or are you mad at the man who put the bomb in the building in the fucking first place? He is not fit for society. He is a fucking manic dog. But that dog didn't wander into Knox Pro Wrestling all by accident. I don't think he's a subscriber to the YouTube channel. I don't think he sought out the tickets. I don't think he helped flyer. I think he was asked to fucking be there specifically to be set the fuck off. But it cost him. Because now there's a gentleman with barely any fucking teeth, losing a quart of fucking blood in the middle of a fucking ring in front of his fucking family. So that's my editorial on the fucking situation that happened. But I do have questions for the panel, and I can see that Tristen is bursting at the fucking seams to get his hands on this situation. So I think generally, I'll start with Tristen in saying, Tristen, where do you sit with this entire situation?
Where do I sit? I sit right here in motherfucking New York. But I tell you this, there's a lot of people that are accountable for this whole entire thing. This is actually one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, but I saw that you were doing this. I said, all right, you know what? Let me let you go ahead and do your thing. But my whole thing here is that the Psycho Stu, Psycho Stu, he has a level of accountability in this whole entire thing. Because where do you come up hitting a guy in the head with a can because you want to work? I think what was really happening, I'm only freestyling here, like my name is Jay-Z. I'm freestyling because what I'm saying is that Psycho Stu was probably a dickhead. And, you know, that's why the promoters were like, all right, go ahead, do your thing. Because the promotion as well, too, of Knox Pro Wrestling, here's where they're accountable. They're accountable because they allowed a person that was untrained to get into the ring with a person that is trained in pro wrestling. What do you expect the guy to do? You can't put your hand in a dog's mouth and get upset when the dog bite you. Raja's an animal, like you said. What should have happened was after that whole entire incident, they should have sent him on his way, right? Also, what should have happened was the Psycho Stu should have been sent home for the night as well, too, because his behavior was definitely unprofessional. The first word in professional wrestling is what? Professional. And he didn't behave like a professional the entire time. You hit the guy in the head with a can and expect what? Oh, the guy's supposed to dap you up and y'all supposed to be good? Let me tell you something. If Where did Raja practice a double leg takedown before in his life? He didn't even do that. And you know me, for anybody that doesn't know me, I got my own thing that I do on YouTube, and I'm also a semi-retired pro wrestler. Psycho Stu didn't even bump for it properly, right? No. He wasn't able to take his own bump. He went up, and where his feet went was where Raja put them. It's wrong. Raja deserves big time accountability, and Knox Pro Wrestling is telling the workers not to cooperate with the police. You know what they did? And I'm sorry, and I'm trying not to get the cuss words out right now, but I'm going to have to say it. But you know what Knox Pro Wrestling did? They fucked up the money. And the way that they messed up the money is that now they're not affiliated with WWE ID anymore.
Yep.
For whatever the reason may be, you have that opportunity to where you can utilize your school to bring people in. Because you can say, hey, well, we're affiliated with the WWE, and you could charge a premium on your price. And you allowed 5 seconds to fuck that up. Everybody in Knox Pro's an idiot. And I met Rikishi. I wrestled Rikishi. Rikishi's a really nice guy. But the people that were in charge of running Knox Pro Wrestling that night, shame on them, shame on Psycho Stu, and 100% shame on Raja as well, too.
Steve, I have to ask you this question. I'm sorry?
His blood pressure.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Let me help you.
Steve, I have to ask you this question because you and I in the past, much like Harry said earlier about two ships passing in the night, you and I have been two ships working in the same dock. We have worked the same promotions together. We have shared a locker room together. And I want you, please, to feel free to share any opinions you have on the topic. But I'll start you off with this question. How many times have you ever seen in your professional career someone in the locker room do something to someone they consider to work without even talking to the other motherfucker he's working with?
Honestly, I've never seen that.
Because it doesn't fucking happen. But
that's right.
Yeah.
In order for it to be a work, it needs to be two people.
I've never heard of a situation where one person was working with another person and the other person had no fucking clue they were involved in the work and you're trying to bitch.
What people don't seem to understand about pro wrestling sometimes from the outside is the most important thing with it, besides the money, the thing before that is consent. Two people are entering a consensual relationship with each other's bodies, and no, not in a happy, fun Vegas way. I'm talking about there's a safety contract between the two of them. Now, I've seen people get heated about things that people have said, people who have gone too far maybe with their words or their physicality. Somebody's potatoed them, and then there's a receipt that comes. But there are checks and balances there when you have professional wrestlers involved in it where they know you've potatoed me, you've got a receipt coming. After that happens, bygones, we're done. We've handled that there. This person does not work in those rules, in that context, in that universe where these rules, much like baseball, when you hit a batter, they are established norms that are there. There was a systematic failure from top to bottom here with everything. They did fuck up the money, but most importantly, they fucked up the trust of anybody who wants to work in that ring to prioritize the money. I think anybody who's been working for several promotions before have seen promoters make decisions that aren't in the best interest for their company or their workers sometimes in order to get a cheap pop or to get a boost of ticket sales and stuff like that. That happens, but never in my opinion or my experience have I seen it at the cost of human life. Because let's be fair, that was tantamount to attempted murder.
100%.
I've never seen it to that extreme in anything that I've been involved with, but also the state of the locker rooms that I've been in would never have allowed that to happen. And that starts with the leadership of people within that locker room to see something like that progressing. And then there were off-ramps at any point. While Raj was, to your point, AJ, and your point, Tristen, he was set off early. At any point, someone could have guided that out the fucking door.
Right.
And nobody did.
It would have defeated the purpose. That's not what they wanted. They wanted the TMZ moment.
That's true.
They got it.
They got it in the worst possible way. Dave knows. Can I just ask you this question? Because so far, I think everyone across the board understands that Raja is not the individual to be put in that position. He can be physically violent. Everyone knows that. But as aggressive as that was, and I think across the board, people will all agree that it was egregious, it was above the line, it was too far. But the one thing that I would like to point out, and I'm going to ask you about this, he hasn't been arrested yet. And I think the biggest reason he hasn't been arrested yet is because it's not exactly clear cut as to the culpability of this situation. Because Raj's people are saying he was given permission to go into that ring. And if you look at the video, Reno Anawahi, who was the promoter and the booker at the time, the representative of the company, actually did use the words, "You can go in the ring and fuck him up." That's what he's using as his backbone argument. Legally, how do you foresee this all coming out between company and Raja?
I think that's a fantastic question, and thank you for asking me this now. The way I look at it is, if anyone's seen the movie Now You See Me, where it was about a bunch of magicians who staged a bank robbery, and then turns out the money was actually gone. They weren't arrested for it because they said, is the FBI saying they believe in magic now? That's kind of where I think we're at a holding pattern here, because yeah, we all know pro wrestling's work, but at the same time, where does that happen? Like, if you were charged for assault for this case, and it went off the rails, obviously, but do you have a charge for if you botch and injure somebody severely? Can you now press charges against that person? Like, where is the culpability? Where exactly do we have that line? Because what we do is in this weird gray area that doesn't exist under normal legal functions. So it's a really hard call, because how do you determine, is this just a really bad botch? Is this someone really going off script? You know, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, where would we take that? There was no arrest made for that whatsoever. And also, as was pointed out earlier, the people involved are highly encouraged not to deal with the authorities.
Yeah.
But I would say one more thing that I am interested in, because Rampage Jackson said this himself or a little earlier. He mentioned that he felt that a lot of people, I'm paraphrasing, a lot of racist people might have their, might be exposed or their level of thinking. And I do see that in social media. But tying this all together, I would say is what I'm curious about is the charge that some people are talking about, is this attempted murder? That I'm questioning. I don't know about that personally. I really don't. I mean, it was an assault, duh. But, like, can we say what the motive was? Can we say what his exact end goal was with this? That I don't know. So I think until those charges, I don't think they can be brought up, at least not yet. That's what I would say.
You see, I wouldn't think it's attempted murder, though, because he didn't want to, like, you know, put him in the hole. He just wanted to F him up. That was it.
There is a different standard when you are a trained mixed martial artist or you have a background. There is a different standard when it comes to that. When you know your hands and feet and body are a lethal weapon, you have a responsibility to use them correctly. It elevates everything you do from just a guy having fun kicking the shit out of somebody into fucking attempted goddamn murder.
Well, that should be part of the training and the teaching, but I don't even think he was trained in MMA properly, or, you know, whatever. That's not part of the discipline. But it does go to show you how dangerous these independent companies are, because we forget that an independent company, depending on the state, you don't need much regulation. You just need an empty warehouse and a ring and some funding.
Actually,
you don't even need that.
I double checked it before we did this show.
Oh, good.
That show took place in California, which is a state athletic commission promoter's licensed state.
Oh, but his blood pressure was fine.
So there's a lot of people pushing for the suspension of license for that exact situation that you just mentioned. Now, there's also a lot of communication taking place, and if there's going to be any positive to the situation, I think this is this. And I've said this on my show. Much like Tristen, I've been in the ring. Steve, you know my history. I've been in the ring as a performer, ring announcer, commentator. I've done everything, including pop the popcorn and set up the chairs. I've done everything in this industry for well over a decade. I'm advocating for stronger licensing protocol between companies. I'm advocating to bring back professional wrestler licenses for the wrestlers to be physically vetted before getting into the ring. I advocate for all of those situations. I'm one of the few people that was in favor of the stricter guidelines in New York City for this exact reason. For people who bring in the Costco guys and the Walmart guys and the Stone Cold ETs back in the day. That's a throwback for you people. Every time one of these idiotic fads take place and we have to be put in the ring as professionals in these situations and make it worse and make it work. I'm a big fan of the Last Dragon movie. I got a chance to work with Tiamat in the ring, and that was scary because he wanted to do real shit. And you got to tell this motherfucker, just please, just be easy. So I understand on the low level of what that's like. This was TNT. They were playing with TNT. This was Wile E. Coyote thinking this is the time I got the Roadrunner right here, and they got in way over their heads. Albert, I'll ask you this question as we start to gear toward the end of the segment. Albert, I will ask you this question because I see you beaming. I see you just frothing at the mouth here. At the start of this conversation, and feel free again to relay all of your opinions on the situation, but I do want to give you a start path in asking you. There's a lot of people who look at Raja and say he shouldn't have been in that position, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that. Do you believe that it was, regardless of how we feel about Psycho Stu, do you feel that was the appropriate individual to put in that situation with Raja? If they were even, let's say all across the board, everything worked out great, let's do a work. Was Psycho Stu the individual for that work?
Absolutely not. And I mean, we can go back to what Tristen said. There has to be, and what Steve said too, there has to be a level of consent, there has to be a level of trust, there has to be a level of understanding if you're going to have a work. You can't, walk up behind somebody, smack them in the back of the head and be like, I was just joking. It's, that you smacked them in the back of the head. And if you're going to do that, that's going to make somebody angry. And even if you're going to be angry, and even if in the moment you're going to shake hands and say, hey, I'm not angry anymore, you're going to sit there for another 2 hours during a show and stew in it, and then you're going to get the opportunity to go in there to do something physical. It's going to happen. Even if you're not intending it to happen, it's going to happen because you're going to get yourself worked up. The big issue that I have with this whole situation is, despite everything that happened, there is video evidence of Raj Jackson sitting in the audience on the phone, talking to somebody saying, I know wrestling's fake. I know this isn't real, but I'm going to fuck this guy up.
Yeah.
And there is nobody around at any point. There isn't a handler. There isn't a person that's sitting next to him, a representative from that company sitting near him, listening in on that phone conversation that's going to relay something into the back and go, guys, we got a problem. This guy's out for blood, and he's not out for just, hey, I'm going to, get my revenge. This guy's out for blood. And it's exactly what Stephen James said. You are going to put yourself in a position as a person who knows that my father is a mixed martial arts fighter, one of the most prolific in the sport. You know that you're trained in some way. You know that you know how to hit people. You know that you had to hit people for maximum force. You should not be, in any sense of the imagination, not know A, how to work your punches, or B, be put into a position where you're told to get physical, where you, because there has been saying, people have said that Psycho Stu even consented to Raj Jackson coming in and hitting him as hard as he possibly could. Even if that's the case, if you are an MMA fighter, you have to know, I can't hit him as hard as I can, because if I do, I will break this man's face. It's just irresponsible in every sense of the word. I have never worked. Look, I'm probably the only person here. I've never worked in professional wrestling at all. I've never worked backstage. I have friends who have. I have a lot of people who I admire that I know that have. As a fan, I know that that's not something you do, because if I was asked to do something like that, I would say no, because I would know that enough sense to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. Don't put me in this position, because God forbid I hurt somebody else. He didn't care about hurting somebody else. And that's the biggest part of this whole thing. He not only did he not care, he wanted to. And and you reap what you sow, right?
Deceive Dave, my brother, my co-host, my brother from the same exact mother. I've checked. We have the same parents. And I wanted to ask you the question that I've been dying to ask you since this whole thing came out. As an individual who does not like motherfuckers playing with your head, like you snap at all that stuff, right? From the very, very beginning, there was obvious contempt. There is no footage of Raja walking around, shaking hands, and enjoying his time at Knox Pro and then all of a sudden some bullshit happens. Started right from the word go, there was tension and there was an issue. I've said this sentence out loud. You can agree or disagree, but it's a starting point for you. As much shit as everyone's giving Raja, and it's absolutely warranted, he should get the shit. I kind of feel like Raja was set up. Like this was a situation where they kind of knew what they were doing here. It just got way more abusive than they thought it was going to get. What's your stance on the possibility that maybe they brought Raja in here for this exact controversy?
Well, I think you asked me this is actually the perfect question. It was like you were reading my mind.
I'm like 6 for 6. My question just top tier right now.
Because I'm gonna start where Albert ended, and everything he said was nice, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. But you're talking like someone with sense, and someone who can center themselves, and someone who can, all right, I don't like the disrespect. He apologized. I'll take the L, move on. It is what it is. X, Y, Z could happen. He doesn't really seem like that person. Yeah. So I'm going to speak from that perspective, because it's funny that you said that I don't like people touching my head. You know me growing up. Yep. I'm very much that. What you saw was me growing up. I would
anger issue, yeah.
You know the chairs in school with the 4 legs. I threw it legs first at people. I was that guy, very angry. So when I see it, it's almost like, damn, I just see myself as a kid again, getting so angry. And one really hit me when he was outside snapping, like absolutely crashing out.
Yep.
About, oh, you're not bullying me no more. Everybody think I'm a punk. Like, I'm going to stop talking about the wrestling, the setup, the all that. Y'all got that. This is the point I'm going to make here, is that all that told the whole story. And he is mentally unstable. He needs to be able to reallocate himself and get himself figured out. But unfortunately, in the world that he lives in, it's damn near impossible unless he kills a man. Because with streaming, with all those eyes on you, you're trying to make a name. You're Rampage's son. He's already speaking negatively about you. You got a chip on your shoulder. Fuck all the famous stuff, the wrestling, all that stuff. That messes you up here. And what's going to end up happening, which kind of already did, is you're going to be put inevitably in a situation where you're going to make a decision. And if you're level-headed, like Albert said, you'll come out of this annoyed and probably grow from it, and it is what it is. Or if you're a hothead like I know I was when I was a kid, I can't tell you how many times I was this close to being in his situation. I've had a kid pinned to the ground, putting all of my weight on his head, trying to hurt him because I was so angry. So if you can't pull yourself together, especially the craziest shit that no one's really even mentioning, he was up here and brought it back here to only premeditate and bring it right back here. You know what kind of level of anger you have to be like, okay,
put it on the back burner for a second.
No, we're good.
Let it
Don't
stew.
worry about it. And then the whole time, like, yo, I'm gonna. And at no point did you go, man, I know if I really get a chance to hit him, he's gonna die. And the thing that he didn't also understand is that the guy's not going to fight back. He thinks it's a show.
Right.
So he's not going to guard. He's not going to grab you when you pick him up so he doesn't slam his head. He's just wrestling, and he's putting on a show. He's in performance mode. So there's no guard. He's just sitting there like this, completely knocked out because he didn't take the bump correctly. And now he's just getting his face pummeled, and no one's reacting. Because everyone's in gimmick mode. No one, right. And dude's just wailing on him.
Which brings me to my next question. And Harry, I'll end this whole thing with you. I'll piggyback that exact thing. I got the vibe watching this whole thing play out, 22 punches deep, that whatever they discussed was going to be the work. It seems like they only discussed it within that triangle. It looked like the referee had no clue what to look for. Because what referee is going to sit there and let a person get hit in the face 22 times? The other talent didn't seem too hesitant to get in there. My initial reaction when I saw this is, what a bunch of pussies. To just sit there and watch their friend be pummeled until the end of time. But after reviewing the footage more and looking at it from different angles and looking at it multiple times, I saw more confusion than I saw panic. So what did you see when you saw that footage? Do you think everybody was on the up and up and just didn't do anything, or you just thought people didn't know anything that was happening?
Well, when you do a professional wrestling show, not everyone is involved and knowing everything, depending on the level of the independent show. There's also not monitors backstage. So the backstage is, you know, depending on this was not a high production, high value show. It didn't seem, I don't know if they were in a corn barn or whatever, but by the way, also it's
7-Eleven freezer. That's what they were.
Yeah. By the way, also it's tough for me to take this story seriously when you keep mentioning Psycho Stu, because I just keep thinking that his former tag team partner is Disco Stu.
Whoa! We all know Disco Stu doesn't advertise. Come on now.
He doesn't advertise, and he doesn't do no jobs.
No,
Disco Stu doesn't do jobs. But I think part of it is that, you know, it's amateur hour, but I think a lot of the people didn't know what was going on for sure. But after the first couple punches, when a guy is knocked out and you see this guy ain't slowing down, you have to come in there.
I would think around punch 13 and 14, you start getting concerned about.
I just think those guys weren't, you know, they're behind the curtain and someone calls them. Or you also, when you deal with this, I'm very selective with what companies I work for, because I don't want to deal with any crazy chaos. We've never had anything that bad. But when you deal with outsiders, you have people no-showing or people going into business for themselves or wanting it to be cool. When you talk to that guy and you realize, like, there's nobody behind the wheel, that's when you have to go, listen, either we don't do this segment, or, bro, you got to do me a favor, stay by the curtain here. I need everyone to stay by the curtain because this could go south. It's just unprofessional on every level. It's just a lot of these independent shows, they are chaotic. They're not run properly. It's just slapping things together, low budget, and this is the result of it. You're trying to bring in an outsider, and they didn't sit down with him properly several times and track it beat by beat of what needs to happen. Especially when someone's an outsider, you got to let them know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
In the meantime, and that's the end result of it. So it was just a shit show, and that's the sad result. But it's also why I'm very selective with who I work for as a manager or commentator, because I'm not going in there with somebody untrained.
Fucking marks.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate, first and foremost, I appreciate everybody, Steve, for giving me my 30 minutes. I appreciate everyone's time here. There will be more on this topic on next week's episode of Orsini's Uncensored Mind, because I didn't get it all out. But
He's like, there's still more in here.
I'm holding back.
There's more details, there's more facts, and by next week we'll probably have a more definitive response as to what is actually legally going to happen. So there'll probably be more information as it comes out. So
I can give you